Hello and welcome to the show where the biggest brain reigns. I am your host, Blue Shadow, and we're going to talk about game update notes. This is my State of the Game address. I'll be giving this out every time a major patch comes out, so after this, the next one won't be till February. Enjoy it while it lasts. Alright, gonna go quickly because I have a bad tendency to ramble if I don't. State of the Game. First thing I want to do is talk about class changes. We'll come back to just about everything else right after. Now, first thing you should know, there haven't been any class changes, really. Just a lot of bug fixes. First off, the LE. Arc Lightning was the one that stuck out to me, so when the Scepter does his little lightning bolt attack, it no longer gets stuck. And reveals you even if you're invisible halfway across the map, which is ridiculous. So I'm glad they fixed that. They did a whole bunch of other bug fixes as well, including this one, Vapor Form. This skill will no longer allow players to rally off of kills that grant 0 experience. So what this means is that if you go into Vapor Form as an Elementalist and you somehow manage to kill something while in Vapor Form, I'm not sure how this worked, you can't get back up. So mosquitoes, owls, the little mosquitoes, owls, hawks, rabbits, none of these will allow them to rally. The same goes for the warrior, getting up skill, and the mesmer has an ability which allows any downed ally to get up. So they've fixed that bug. I'd never experienced it, but I'm glad that they did. Also for Elementalist, Double Dagger Elementalist, pretty much universally accepted that they're a problem. So ArenaNet decides to do something about it and reworks an Elementalist Double Dagger skill to have greater utility. Previously, the Elementalist skill, Magnetic Grasp, was one ability. It didn't have a second half. It would throw out a circle. If you ever played League of Legends, it basically functioned like Lee Sin's ability. It would throw out a circle, hits the target, and then you dash to the target. Now, this ability immobilizes for 2 seconds. But they've changed it now. This ability now immobilizes the target that it strikes. So immediately immobilized for 2 seconds. Then it becomes a leap skill, where you activate the second half to leap to the enemy. For those who play League, this is exactly Lee Sin's skill, except for the immobilize. It is now a large projectile finisher on the Magnetic Grasp, and I believe, though it does not say here, the leap is a leap finisher, because Elementalists did not have enough finishers already for the number of fields that they put down. So yeah, Elementalists, they've added utility to them. So they need to get hit a little bit harder with a nerf back come February. Now, if it feels like I'm being down on Elementalists, I am. They kind of deserve it. Who really deserves it is all the Elementalists who just became one, because everybody was like, oh, Ellies are so awesome. Those people are the people who deserve this hate. And I'm more than willing to provide it. You may have noticed. Okay, Engineer. God, I started rambling anyways. Engineer. Removed collision from turrets. I like this change as a thief because now when I'm trying to hunt them down and they're doing their duck and weave thing inside their field of turrets that they just dropped down, it definitely would make it a lot easier for me to catch them. They also have incendiary ammo. This falls under the charges on an attack. Also, I tested this, and if you miss or are out of range, it will not decrease the counter. So, talk about that more when we get to the Thief, because he had the most changes in that regard. Guardian. Spirit weapons now count as entities. They can now be attacked and killed. So they sort of function like Ranger Spirits now. This is a major nerf to any Guardian who uses these weapons. I tried one out on my alt. They're pretty squishy now. They're pretty much like the Ranger Spirits. If you target them, it's not very difficult to destroy them. Mesmer. Not a whole lot. Portal Exuant updated the skill fact of this skill to reflect the actual duration. I didn't really pay attention to the numbers before. It just either worked or it didn't. So I was confused, but I'm not level 80, so I'm not really looking to learn it just yet. I did see that the little thing that shows the number of portal charges left, or the number of people who can teleport through it, flashes and disappears as the portal disappears. I don't know if this was added this patch or previously. and more bug fixes, of course. Necromancer, pet AI changes. The minions have become less overly aggressive. This also applies to, I believe, spirit weapons, and in fact, any AI pet companion that isn't a ranger pet. Because I think Thieves Guild will no longer attack unless you initiate combat, and the same goes for the spirit swords. I never used actually spirit weapons for the Guardian. I never used any spirit weapons. I just now got Spirit Sword to test this. And so I don't know if this was the same as it was before, but now pets are a lot more passive, which may or may not be a good thing. I think Necromancer pets had a bad tendency of standing around for no reason, so we'll see how it works out. Ranger, I did like this for them. Entangle, this skill's bleed effects now properly scale with condition damage and duration. So Entangle was a pretty useless skill to anybody who had some kind of teleport and can get out of the roots. So I like this. It'll actually add some power back into it by making it much more damaging. Also, they have Sharpening Stones and Opening Strikes, which fall under the Spent Charges category. So this is good for them. They can start firing ranged attacks from a distance, and it won't count against them if they miss or start firing before they're properly in range. Down to the Thief. The Thief benefited, I believe, the most from the on-hit charges. Every Venom takes this into account, and Assassin's Signet as well. So congratulations to Assassin's Signet users. You're not completely unviable anymore. But if you evade, it's still useless, so I don't know. I still don't use Assassin's Signet. But Basilisk Venom, this makes it so much better against everybody that it was already good against. Against other thieves who pop lots of blinds, or against guardians who throw up Aegis, or whatever other form of block they have at the time. It won't make any difference against them. But I do like it. Definitely a buff for the thief who uses Venom, specifically Basilisk, which is most every thief. Warrior, not a whole lot done to them beyond the rallying ability off of zero experience mobs. So that's good that they fixed that bug, but really they got no major buffs. In fact, every one of their bug fixes was a minor nerf, with the exception of Empowered, increased damage when you have a stability boon. On a minor note, all of their banners have been updated. I haven't seen any yet, but I assume this means that they now display what they actually deal rather than the ubiquitous this banner gives increased precision and prowess. Now, hopefully it says something like, this increases critical chance and critical damage. Alright, so basically that's the general state of the game. That's our class distribution. Actually, speaking of distribution, this is the unofficial Blue Shadow unofficial list. In World vs. World, the most common enemy you're going to run into is going to be a thief. This has not changed, except that it hasn't been like 90% thieves anymore. Elementalists have cut sharply into that margin. So if you're out there just running, odds are, if you run into someone, it will either be a thief or an elementalist, with a thief being slightly more likely. After these two, the next two most common are Guardian and Mesmer, and they're pretty evenly represented in World vs. World, so you're just about as likely to see a Guardian as you are a Mesmer, so third and fourth go to them. Warriors, slightly less common than Guardians, so obviously slightly less common than Mesmers as well. There's still a fair number of them running around. Rangers, it's starting to drop off. You don't see as many Rangers, but surprisingly, you still do see them, given that they're pretty much universally panned as the class that nobody can make work. Which is not true. There are Rangers who make it work, but the majority of them are melee. And a class called Ranger that can only succeed while in melee, not functioning as intended. After this, you have Necromancer. They still pretty much exist. They're just below Rangers. Goes Thief is the highest, followed relatively closely by Elementalist, followed not so closely by Guardians and Mesmers, followed very closely by Warriors, followed not so closely by Rangers, and then followed relatively closely by necromancers. If you steal enough, you're gonna end up with a couple of skulls as a thief, so necromancers are not non-existent. Engineer, however. This is the rare engineer. I believe in the last video I posted, I think there were only 2, and one of them wasn't even level 80. So, engineers not so very common in this. Hopefully, they are dangerous. I don't trust engineers. Engineers will screw you over if you don't watch out. But they're just not that common in World vs. World. Alright, that is it for State of the Game. That is your class distribution and analysis for this week. Well, this patch. So let's move on to the state. Oh, I was going to do this whole picture thing. Alright, we're going to pretend that I did this at the very beginning, everybody. Alright, I'm going to go with this. White. State of the... I want a bigger brush. Give me a bigger brush. You look good. State of the... hold on. Game. Alright, pretend I did that at the very beginning. State of the game. It looks awesome, doesn't it? Not really. Okay, now we're moving on to part 2. State of the world. I'm going to talk about some PvE stuff, so look in the description. I believe I'll put a tag in telling you when to skip ahead if you want to go right to World vs. World. So, State of the world. Alright, first thing in PvE is the living story that they're very proud of. Whole point of this patch, story-wise, is that you got refugees coming down from the north. There's an achievement you can get that gives you the volunteer title by helping them, either by fixing signposts, helping out refugees, either healing them when they're wounded, or reviving them if they go down. The wounded thing is a condition that's inflicted on a refugee walking along the path every 60 seconds, so if you really need just a couple more to get the volunteer, just follow a refugee, and every 60 seconds you can help them back up. Apparently this story will be continuing to unfold, so we'll be getting more information about this. I definitely recommend starting in Holbrook and heading east out of Holbrook, and then north into, what is it? Wayfarer? Wayfarer or just, yeah, Wayfarer Foothills. Because, I started at the Black Citadel after pretty much clearing all the way up through the Nornlands, and it really was not very straightforward at all. I definitely recommend starting at Holbrook. Look for orange stars on your map that'll help you out. Guesting has been implemented. If you want more information about that, I don't know anything about guesting, and I don't plan on learning. I'm sure there's forums dedicated to it, but guesting should now be implemented, so if you want to stay on your own server but move over to somebody else's, you're obviously not in Darkhand, but it's now an option. Finally, they have changed some endgame zones, specifically ore. They have their own section. I'm pointing at the screen, but you can't see it. See World Polish Ore below for more details. Ore was really, Cursed Shore specifically, is the one that I know of. Really adjusted, we'll say. So first thing you do when you go into Cursed Shore now, if you start at the north checkpoint, is, wow, everything got huge. All the mobs have had their character models increased in size. There's a lot less of them. Not nearly so much hard CC. You will not run past a group of mobs and immediately get yanked in 8 different directions. It's harder to find groups that large anyways. But abominations specifically are just like 3 stories tall now. Just normal risen abominations. I used to leap over risen abominations with Death Blossom. I'm emoting, rather. Yeah, you can't see it. I should put like a picture-in-picture thing in here so you can see me. So yeah, they've definitely done some rework across ore, specifically the Grenth event. Oh lord, that got ridiculous. For those of you who have not tried the Grenth event since the patch, the priest no longer is the damage sponge that he once was. If you stand near him, red circles all over the ground. All over the ground. I'll emote with my mouse. All over the ground. And ice will drop on your head, like hard. it will down you pretty quickly, especially if you have stacks of corruption on you. The shades seemed like less of an issue. I believe there were a lot fewer of them, but the boss was just terrifying. He'd put down really huge red circles, just like a couple, and if you stand in them, you get teleported up to the ceiling. And then you fall and take falling damage, so it's sort of like agony in that you can't shield from that kind of damage by building toughness. You just had huge groups of people wiping in a circle because they would take that falling damage. It was hilarious and horrible. I think I was at that event 5 or 6 times, and we never got it to work, even when like 4 or 5 Ellies dedicated to water stancing by Jones, or whatever his name is. Yeah, Keeper Jones. They did update a couple of the tooltips, and yeah, for more information, just read the game update notes on the Guild Wars 2 forum. Afterwards, however, they did put in this additional patch notes, which they nerfed the Risen Priest of Grenth boss basically in every way they possibly could, which is good. Side note, the Ranger's spirit health was increased by 25%, so the Guardian gets to deal with spirit health now on their weapons, but Rangers don't have to worry so much about spirits dying immediately, just from AoE. They probably still will. They are very squishy. Alright, so that's it for PvE specifically. Well, except for bag drops have been increased in ore, and Orion jewelry boxes are now a thing. You can buy these from karma vendors, and they contain different forms of, you open them up and they'll give you some karma back. You spend karma to get them and they'll give you karma back. So it's a good way to trade karma from a high level character to a lower level character. Not sure if you can actually get more than you paid if you use a bunch of boosters, like the Outmanned buff and the consumable booster and karma gear, and I don't know. But it's a good way to transfer over stuff. For more information on that, Darkhand has a good video. Just search YouTube for him. Yeah, it should pop up pretty quickly. Orion Jewelry Boxes is the name. And he just kind of goes and buys a bunch of them. Alright, so let's go on to dungeons. In general, a lot of fixes for bosses were made. Specifically Fractals, Mossman looking at you. They no longer will get glitched out and become invulnerable. I assume this applies also to the last guy in the Fractal Colossus one, the Cliffside Fractal. So, I did check LFG earlier. Ascalon Catacombs is still the second most desired dungeon, but Citadel of Flame by far is the most. Ara has a pretty dedicated group that's still running it. Sorrow's Embrace, not really so much. Crucible of Eternity, people still run it, but I'm pretty sure everybody hates it. Twilight Arbor has a decent size, and nobody wants to run Honor of the Waves. Sorry. If you want to run out on the Waves, it's gonna be brutal. Okay, so, and they have their whole list of basically everything about those dungeons. The ending fight, whether it's a boss or whether it's something in particular that was weird about those dungeons or instances has been changed or altered in some way. Fractals are going to get their own category in this because there are kind of a lot of them. First off, they've fixed the fractal entering thing. If you disconnect, you can reconnect from fractals, and if I could find it, it would make a lot easier rather reading off my note sheet. Fractals. Fractals of the Mist. Okay, you can now reconnect if you're disconnected. Thank God. Players can now connect to a fractal map even if they are not part of the original group. So if you have 2 people, you finish 2 fractals and then you get Dredge or Colossus and somebody says, "Peace, I'm out," you can get somebody else to fill the spot. And they'll probably be glad to, because that'll make them just 1 fractal to get their daily. So they can be happy about that. Speaking of dailies, if you want to know more about Laurels, Wooden Potatoes, and Darkhand have videos about them on YouTube, so I'm not going to go over them. Waypointing and checkpoints. Players are not that one. Players can revive at a checkpoint in fractal maps if the entire party is out of combat. This is good because now your entire party doesn't have to wipe if one person goes down right before fighting a boss, or for any reason. They have the new scaling system in where you can join fractals that are higher difficulty than you're allowed to start yourself. You'll receive rewards at the maximum of your fractal level, and your maximum fractal will level up by 1 every time you complete a higher level difficulty fractal. So again, if you want more information on this, there's entire forums dedicated to learning about this. An interesting thing, I don't see it here, but day and night cycles have been added to Fractals of the Mist, which means not that there's cycles, if you wait long enough it'll swap between the two. It means that each fractal has its own set time, so that if you enter a fractal like the swamp, it's always night. So anything that's affected by that, like Superior Sigil of the Night, 10% bonus damage at nighttime, yeah, you get it, that entire fractal, regardless of what time you went in or how long you wait. Alternatively, I believe there's foods that will grant might or steal life on critical. Those, depending on the fractal, will define what those effects are. And as before, the other dungeons, bosses are less buggable now, so you can't sit in one place and shoot at him while he shouts, "Your weakness makes me laugh." Your weakness makes me... Yeah. Seriously, put anything as an alternative quote for that guy. Alright, that's the state of the world this week. So let's go over here. State of the world completed. Alright. 2 more sections, and the last one's very, very quick. Next up is State of the Mists. This will be the world versus world that I'm sure most of you want to know about. Alright, so first off, let's skim right over the structured PvP nonsense. I don't do structured PvP. I think I've played 11 games, and some of that was from our in-guild tournament, so yeah, because I advanced a couple rounds in the tournament. I actually ended up in like first place a couple of games in a row. It was an interesting effect. So world versus world. Yeah, wait, I said person. Yeah. There's this tournament thing that I don't understand how tournaments work, so I'm not going to try and elaborate on that. Specifically, bugs have been fixed about terrain and bosses. Lords and guards will now aggro much more reliably, and they can't be shot from a distance and not aggro anymore. Supposedly, I'm not going to test this at all. Not even considering it. Ooh, while I'm here though, players can once again preview armor and weapons that cannot be equipped by their character. I don't know about weapons, but taking away the preview of armor was very weird. I don't know why they did it. I know why they did it, so that people wouldn't accidentally buy the wrong armor. But you could still do that, so it didn't really accomplish what it meant to. Maybe if they put up an extra dialogue box that said, "This armor cannot be worn by your current character. Do you still wish to proceed?" That would have been a lot better than saying, "You can't preview this armor, but you can still buy it." The whole purpose of which is to stop you from buying it accidentally. Yeah. So yeah, glad they brought it back in. Now they do it. If you preview an armor that is not your type, you can't preview mixed armor. You can't preview a light helmet or a helm while wearing a medium chest. It will just take away all of your medium armor and say previewing light armor at the top. I like this change. I wish they hadn't had the interim of you can't preview, but I'm glad that they have that now. So yeah, with most of the information not being about PvP, let's actually skip through the rest of PvP. So Lords and Guard fixes was the big thing for them, and some terrain modifications, I believe they said. World versus World. First off, character load times in World versus World have been improved through the use of preloaded placeholder models. If you have a high-end rig, this will have 0 effect on you. This has not affected culling in the slightest. In fact, because they re-implemented the alternate culling system, it's actually been worse on my computer. I have a very nice high-end computer with decent graphics and very good processing, so character load times are negligible. So for me, I have never even seen a placeholder model yet. So just all of a sudden, people running into you because they're culling, and it jumps straight to their actual model. If you're on the higher end of the computer, this change has not helped you in the slightest. I'm sure on the lower end, though, it's definitely been a major improvement for anybody whose computer was struggling to load anything at all. So, at least it's an improvement, even if they went and implemented the worst culling system for who knows what reason. I don't understand. pretty sure virtually everybody who responded to them said that the new culling system was bad, but whatever. Maybe it works better than I think, and no, it doesn't. I'm sorry. I can't say that. No siege equipment can be placed in... Where is World vs. World? Come on, give me information. Well, while I'm looking for it, no siege equipment can be placed in jumping puzzles. I don't know if this is specifically the World vs. World jumping puzzle in Eternal, or it's every jumping puzzle in World vs. World. So people who like to run that, you won't have to worry about ballistas showering you in the face anymore. Well, that's good. There's supposedly been terrain fixes which will stop people from bypassing gates and walls. I have not experienced any of this, although I may have seen a Mesmer who was then able to portal an army inside a keep. I may have. It was weird because it was at a server turnover time, so I couldn't really tell what was going on. So suspicious though, and I'm going to keep my eye out for that again. But supposedly they fixed any kind of terrain glitching that would let you get through. Where is the World vs. World stuff? Come on, I need to know this. Okay, here it is. Superior Siege will now be saved properly when maps restart. I think this means that people were losing Superior Siege equipment on when they reset maps for testing, because I believe maps get completely wiped on server reset night, which is Fridays. Which may not be night for you, and it may not even be Friday for you, but it should be Friday for you, I think. 12 hours? Yeah. So I think what it means is that when they shut it down just to run an update or a patch or something, it shouldn't delete Siege. Again, I'm not sure what this means. I'm sure someone can put in the comments. If you know, put in the comments. I'm sure people would be happy to know. Alright, and World vs. World, different types of loot chests will replace the bag drop depending on loot rarity. This one's a hit and miss because actually in PvE I got a chest actually just on the ground. I was very confused for a second until I remembered this, but now I come in here and it says that it's only supposed to be in World vs. World, so I wonder if maybe that was contributing to the unusually high drop rate I had yesterday. It may have, but supposedly they also altered drop rates, so it's impossible to tell. Bags should still be in World vs. World for any loot that is lower than uncommon, and chests for loot that is higher than uncommon, or uncommon. However, if you get a bag that you can then open, like a heavy bag of moldy items, or a moldy heavy bag, or something like that, that will count as a higher than uncommon rarity, because what it will spit out will be higher quality. Alternatively, I did try to pick up a chest and nothing happened once, and I was disappointed. Could have had a precursor in it. You don't know. You don't know. So that's that for World vs. World. There really wasn't that much to talk about. I mean, this entire wall of text. World vs. World gets, what is this for? 8 lines? That's, hopefully this is their PvE patch, and next February, I hope they'll look at World vs. World a little bit more. Hopefully that's not going to become something I say next patch as well. Well, they didn't look at World vs. World so much in this February patch, but hopefully in the I hope that doesn't happen. But that's pretty much it for the State of the Mist. If you're here for the patch notes, that's it. I'm done. Thanks for watching. If you care to stick around to see okay, well, this next section will be called State of the Blue. So as you can imagine, this is about my character and my build. So if you care to stick around, you'll learn a little bit about thieves and how much it costs to actually level one up. So if not, though, come back next patch and we'll talk about that. Alright, here we are. And, whoa.
Eat my dust.
Yeah, you go away there, buddy. Okay. Let's find a little safety in the corner here. Now, hold on, let me go to a level 80 zone. In fact, let me just go to World vs. World, because, oh, really? Oh, come on. This is not happening. This isn't happening. This is, oh, of course EB is full. Alright, fine. If I travel to the northernmost part of this, I believe this is level 80. And I'll still be in snow, so the completely white armor will not look utterly foolish. Good. Okay. Welcome to Dracor Waypoint. Many of you probably have never seen this before. Don't worry about it. Okay. Hello. Here. Wave to the camera. Alright, now you're here for information. I'm here to give it to you. As you can see, I've unlocked everything, and I've used almost everything. Some of these traps I've never bothered to actually try. But, alright. Now, many of you who've watched my videos know that I'm quite prone to, at my own expense, messing up repeatedly, including trying alternate builds that just are absolutely abysmal. Now, this one actually harkens pretty far back to when I first started playing the game, and this is fairly similar to what it was then. In fact, I think it may be exactly what it was then, except taking these 10 and putting them down here in trickery. And then maybe there's a point here, and then there was a point here, and then I don't remember. It was pretty similar. But anyways, this is my build, and this is the one I'm pretty much set with. Yeah, this will not be changing for a while, I don't think, unless they release new traits. Anyways, 10. Serpent's Touch, stealing applies poison for 10 seconds. It's nice, especially if you can burst somebody down so fast they need to use a heal skill. It screws that heal skill up by reducing the effectiveness of their healing. Poison. It's awesome. Mug. I've tried without this, but it just does not work. If you want burst damage with any kind of melee build, you need Mug. I say that, but I'm sure people can get by without it. Then full 30 into critical strike, because this gives precision and critical damage, and that is just, it's what you want. Critical chance is increased by 5% while health is over 90%. I wonder if that reflects in the tooltips. Practice tolerance, 5% of precision is converted into vitality. You can see I have, here it says about 16,000 health, but that's not true. I actually have closer to 14,500 or something, but because of world versus world buffs, robust, I'm getting bonus. Critical hits, I love the, that's not what I was thinking of. Critical hits can restore 1 initiative, that's nice. Critical haste, this one you really need. Quickness is what makes this build work. Just passive quickness, I hate the utility slot. First strikes, 10% increased damage when initiative is over 6. It's kind of useless because you should be using all of your initiative as fast as possible to kill them as quickly as possible, at least for me. And of course, Executioner, 20% extra damage when target is below 50% health. This is why you spec 30 points into critical strikes. On top of everything else, you get this. It's amazing. Shadow Arts, which gives toughness and healing. You get Last Refuge, which is, it can actually screw you up by putting a revealed debuff on you when you wanted to be going into stealth. And Master of Deception. Deception skills recharge 20% faster. So that applies to Shadow Return and Shadow Refuge, which used to have a 50 and 60 second cooldown respectively. So that's very nice. Acrobatics, 20 points into this. Swiftness on evade. Safe fall. Now you can alternatively swap that out for Fleet Shadow if you're in fields or something and you know there are no cliffs you're going to jump over. You go for that. I just don't, because then I'll forget to put it back and go over a cliff and wit. That's not fun. Feline Grace. Dodging returns some of the endurance used. It's not quite half of an endurance roll, but if you put a little bit of time between them, you can get 3 dodges. Quick Recovery. Gain 2 initiative every 10 seconds. This one is up for debate. You can either have this, or Assassin's Reward. I think you heal about, with this build at least, I don't know how well it stacks off healing. You can get about 70 initiative per initiative point. So that's one option. The one I currently have, 2 initiative every 10 seconds, is another option. I think you get about 6 per 10 seconds, so this is a 33% increase. Or it's a 1/3 increase. Or pain response. Gain 10 seconds of regeneration. Okay. And remove bleeding, poison, and burning. Very nice. When struck and health is below 75%, this happens every 45 seconds. So that's a very good one. I have not really had an occasion to use this one, but I would imagine it would be very good in World vs. World. Less effective in PvE. Assassin's Reward. It's a pretty good one. Just spamming that. But the thing is, it synergizes so well with the one I already have, but you can't have both unless you go full into acrobatics. So that's not going to happen. So for usually I run quick recovery. It's a good generic one. My gear is not what you'd expect, because as I was saying before, the cost of speccing out a full character, yeah, I imagine the glob market is on the verge of collapse, and it will actually fall apart once people start getting enough laurels that they can just spam getting those chests of rare and exotic gear, and get globs from them, and then the market should flood a little bit more and the price will go down. So I sold mine preemptively. The market bounces, so now I'm actually hoping that it goes back down and I don't feel so bad anymore. So I could sell them now for an extra couple of gold, but I got 50 gold selling globs of ectoplasm. With that, I purchased a full set of tier 2 human armor. I got new weapons too because I felt like it, and these are the karma weapons. That's not right. And you go there. Alright, I got a full, these are the karma weapons, so they didn't cost anything, but I did upgrade them with an extra dagger I had lying around and an extra pistol I had lying around. I kept the same short bow because it's awesome. So this is the new armor, and it all has Runes of the Eagle on it. I thought that was pretty cool. Falconer's mask of the eagle, and shoulder pads of the eagle, falconer, eagle. It's very cool. I like the synergy between the two. So yeah, this cost 50 gold. That 50 gold I made in globs went into tier 2 human armor and superior runes of the eagle. Now I got some of that back because when I got these runes of the eagle, I did not buy the runes. I bought the cheapest exotic piece of armor that had the rune in it, and then Black Lion chested it. So I did actually get some globs back, which made partial, tiny, itty bitty, read insignificant return on the actual cost. But I think it looks pretty cool, and if you don't, well, you don't have to wear it, now do you? I also have been using a sword in PvE. Now, as much as I think sword is clunky and cumbersome, if a mob is coming up to you and it has this huge telegraph of what it's going to do, you bash it in the face and then slash it repeatedly. That's basically how you kill mobs with this build. So the sword is very nice for doing that, and also I will keep all of this stuff because sword dagger is how you want to run dredge, because the pistol is useless. Obviously you should use the short bow whenever you're at range, but the pistol is useless against dredge. No blinds. Dredge are blind already, kind of. I don't understand how that works. And the sword gives AoE, and when you have all those dredge in one spot, it's awesome. It does give better condition removal than having a dagger because of the number 2 skill. But yeah. So for a full set of exotic, just the armor and the best runes that you can really get for critting. Ignore the fact it says 12 out of 6. That's a bug because of I have no idea. But yeah, it cost me about 50 gold to do this. I think it was worth it. I mean, it's 50 gold, and I have not spent gems in this game except for $15, and I don't even remember what that. Oh, I think I got bank slots for that. So yeah, 50 gold investment here. It's pretty serious. But as you can see, I have a let me test this. 57% critical hit chance, just base. And also the 5% stat from sigils do not show up, so it's actually 62. And it has a, where are you? Where's critical chance? Oh, here it is. 89% critical damage bonus. So I do 89 plus the 50, so 240% critical damage. Now let me check something. If I spend a bunch of initiative, alright, this does not update, which makes me think that the trait which says increases your critical hit chance, yeah, this does not reflect in your tooltips, much like the dagger and in this case sword ability does not.
You can never have too much.
Exactly. So yeah, selling all those gloves has put my upgrading the back piece on a significantly longer path, but I did get the gear I wanted, and I got the stats I wanted, so I went full Knight's gear for all of this power, precision, with a main focus on toughness. I'm not going to get any more toughness. I consider 2,400 to be acceptable. These rings, they're good, and I'm not going to swap them out anytime soon. But before I do a max infusion and get like the final infusion, I'm going to swap these for Bach, Na, and the Vine of the Pale Tree, which give the same exact stats, except instead of the bottom 18% precision, it gives 18 vitality, which is 180 vitality. And I think I'm going to have that on every one of these that will allow it. Prototype Fractal Capacitor does not, that I am aware of, offer that particular combination. So this capacitor, which you cannot see here for some reason, is here to stay. These rings will go eventually. Of course, I have like a dozen rings in my bank. Neither of them is the alternate rings that I want to get. But yes, 50 gold to max out a thief. Just take that as you will. That's how much it cost me. I had most of the materials for crafting the actual statted armor, which I then transmuted over with fine transmutation stone, so the stats didn't really cost me a whole lot. The runes, however, set you back a lot. They're about 5 gold apiece. And so yeah, that's that. Before I waste any more of your time, this has been Blue Shadow. I'm glad you've watched, and I will see you in my next After Hours video. Or if you're just here for the patch notes, why are you still here? You should have left way long ago. People. Oh well. I will see you later.